Okay, we finished 4.2 and there were some problems on a few questions. The questions that had the most trouble were the ones that I aligned with the Moodle assignment with it walks you through the answers. And so I'm not going to redo most of what we did in Moodle, but I'd like to focus on two problems that kind of get at a couple of the tricky ideas. Right. The first one is this one question, it's called question 4. They mix up the order, but when I picked the problem, this was question 4. And I'd like to start by focusing on how to do this as a rate using units, right? So what we have is we have a base price of $120 in the question. And first we have a sale, right? It's a percent, so that means for every 100 base dollars, we are going to pay, it says 15% off. Well, 15% off means 15 of every 100. So for every 100 base dollars, we're going to pay 85 sale dollars. Okay. Then we have a clearance. Well, a clearance is as a percent, and it says for every 100 sale dollars, we take 25 off. 25 off of 100 is 75 clearance dollars, right? And that gives us the clearance price. Okay. So let's see how this works with the numbers. 120, 85 over 100 times 75 over 100 equals 76.5 clearance dollars. All right. Now we also have tax. So total with tax. Total with tax. All right. Starts with, hold on, let me start it this way. You start with your clearance price. And the tax for every $100 that you have in price, you pay an extra $8.5, right? Or for every 100 cents, you pay an extra 8.5 cents is how people normally think of it. Either way works, right? And that's the total with tax over clearance. And so we get 76.5 times 108.5 divided by 100, and that gives us our total with tax. Right? Now, with a little practice, you're just going to learn how to string all these together with the decimals, because 85 over 100 is just that. 75 over 100 is just that. 108.5 over 100 is just that. Right? By the way, 100 over 108.5 is the same as 1 over the reciprocal, 1.085. Get the same number. Don't worry about this. These are just a few algebra tricks that you can, a few arithmetic tricks you can pick up along the way. Not quite algebra, it's arithmetic. 0.75 times 1.085, and you get the same answer that way. But notice that all we did was rates. That's all we did was rates, right? If they had given us the total, we just would have worked backwards with the rates. Let's do that real quick. They'd given us 83.0025. They wouldn't give us the 0.0025, but let's just do the rounded number and see how close we get to the original price. This will be a little off because we rounded things, but that's cool. We'll see that it pretty much works really well going the other way. So this is the total we paid, but the total had a tax in it, right? So So this is total, right? And we know that for every 108.5 total dollars, we paid 100 clearance dollars, right? And for every, let's see, what was our other one that we had? For every 75 clearance dollars, we paid 100 sale dollars, right? I'm going to use just the capital letters here. T for total, C for clearance, just so I can string it together, and S for sale. All right, and finally, 85 sale for 100 base. For every 85 sale dollars, we get 100 base dollars. Okay. Now let's take out the units and see what the numbers do. Stringing together these rates. And you see, we could have worked backwards to get our original price of about $120, right? Now this is a little off because really we would have to use the correct number here. Oh, I know what happened. I put a 74 in there instead of a 75. I was wondering what happened. A little typo, right? So with the rounded number, right? Look at what we get. That's so close to $120. If you want it exactly, just add that stuff that you rounded off to the nearest cent and you got it. Okay, that was nice. I like that one. Right? But notice it's just rates. It's just rates. If you go back to that first Moodle lesson page, it's just like we did rates. There's no difference. Okay, let's go to another one. All right. Where we go? There we go. This one's a little trickier. This one has a bit more algebra in it, so I'd like to do this one. All right, first, let me show you a couple of algebra facts that are cool. When you multiply two numbers, right, you can rewrite that as, so that equals 63. So I'm just going to write equals 63. You can rewrite that as 63 over 9 equals 7. Oops. Or you could write it as 63 over 7. There's the answer right there, equals 9, like that. So you can rewrite division things that way, right? Here's another one. When you divide by a fraction, so let's say 1 divided by 2/3, we get 1.5. Well, what is that fraction? It's 3 over 2. So when you divide by a fraction, that's the same as multiplying by what's called the reciprocal, which is just the flip fraction. Okay. So we're going to use those two arithmetic facts when we do this. All right, now let's set this problem up. All right. So here's how I'm going to say it. For every dollar that you earn, right, you had a 30%, 36% decrease in pay. That means we start off with, so we're just going to look at $1 of pay, right? And I'm going to do $1 because it's easy. Right? For every 100 cents, we lose 36, which means we keep 64. Then we get a increase in pay, right? So for every 100 cents, we get that 100 plus some extra. And after the increase, we get back to that same dollar of pay that we started with. Okay. Now, I could have done this with $100. and we end up with $100. It doesn't matter because, right, look at what we have here. We have something here, 100 times some other stuff equals 100. But remember that division rule I just showed you? That means 100 divided by 100 equals all the other stuff. Okay. Well, what is 100 divided by 100? It's just 1, right? So because of that, this stuff right here is just going to equal 1. Why? Because 1 is the same as 100%. 100 for every 100 is just 1 times what you started with. It means you have the same amount that you started with. You have 100% of what you started with. Okay. Now, I want you to think about what I just did, and you may want to watch this part of the video again, right? Because it's really cool to get a good sense of it. I'm going to write these as decimals. Right? Now look, I have 100 plus x over 100. It turns out that with fractions, you can write them as, when you have a plus in the top, you can write them as 2 fractions, like this. You can break it up like that, because these have what's called a common denominator, right? And that makes your problem easier because it gives you 0.64 times 100 divided by 100 is 1, plus x over 100 equals 1, right? Now remember my multiply rule that we just said? So we said 4 times 20 equals 80 can be rewritten as 80 over 4 equals 20, right? So that tells me that this thing above here can be rewritten as 1 divided by 0.64 equals this. Right? 1 divided by 0.64 is that, right? So my new equation is that. Okay. Now the same times rule that works with times works with plus as well, right? And since this is not multiplying by anything anymore, I don't need the parentheses. The parentheses are just there to say, hey, we're multiplying this whole thing by 0.64. The plus rule says that if you have 3 equals 2 plus 1, you can rewrite that as 3 minus 2 equals 1, or 3 minus 1 equals 2, right? So here we have this equals 1 plus that. So this minus 1 equals that, right? But what is this minus 1? It gives us a new number. Oh, that's just, sorry, let me rewrite it like this. Hold on. I'd actually like to just to be better about keeping track. Let me write it like this. 1. I simplified this without keeping. I like to keep a record when I do things. There. Okay. So just to kind of show you where the numbers came from. So this is 0.5625 equals x over 100. Right. And our division and multiplication rule works either way, right? So 20 over 4 equals 5 can be written as 20 equals 5 times 4. right? You can rewrite divide as a times or times as a divide as long as the numbers aren't zero. So I can rewrite this divided by that. I'm trying to get the 100 highlighted. That equals our answer. Can be rewritten as our answer times 100 equals what we're looking for, right? And what is that? 56.25%. And that's the work you have to do for that one. It's the most algebraic, right? And I kind of go over it in the Moodle lesson, but I thought another video would help. All right, I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to add this to the lesson. And hopefully that will help with any problems that you had. If you want to try HOXA again or Moodle again, you can do that.